everyone, and welcome back to Alex Elliott Golf. This week we're going to talk about how to hit a flop shot, and we're going to run through 3 key points of how we can hit this flop shot more effectively. So firstly, before we move on to how we can hit the flop shot, when do we hit the flop shot? Well, for me it's not a shot we use a lot, it's very much a high tariff shot. So for example, if we've got a shot where we've got very little green between you and the flag, so for example I've got to go over a bunker, or the flag's cut tight to the side of the green that you're playing on, and you hear on the TV that a lot of guys short side themselves. So this is the kind of scenarios in which we would play the flop shot. So this is not a shot that we're going to expect to get up and down 9-8 times out of 10. This is probably one that we'll probably play even probably maybe 2 or 3 times in every 10 rounds we play, and out of them we probably expect to get maybe 1 or 2 up and down. So let's run through those 3 key tips of how we're going to play this flop shot more effectively. So I have placed myself in a very typical scenario where I play a flop shot. I've got very little green between me and the flag. I'm in the rough, so I can't produce that spin. If I was in this position where I could produce a spin, then a different shot, maybe the shot I'd choose. But in this case, they've not got a lot of green. I need to get the ball going high and coming down as vertically as I can, so therefore the flop shot is a shot of choice in this scenario. So the first tip we're going to run through of how we're going to hit this lob shot effectively and get this ball going high and landing as soft as we can out this rough in lie. Firstly, I'm going to grab the most lofted club in my golf bag. Now, I have a 58-degree wedge, so this may be a 60 in your case, so you've got a bit more loft than I have, but the highest lofted club I carry is a 58-degree wedge. So, from there, I want you to place this golf club open, or loft pointing up towards the sky. Now, the reason for this, we want to have as much loft on the golf club as we can. So, to enable that, we're going to lay it down, and then we're going to take our normal grip. We're not going to set it square, take our normal grip, then open the face, because during the backswing this will encourage the club face to close, because we've actually taken a normal grip relative to what we want to hit. So if we open the face and then grip the golf club, it's going to be easier to hold this loft throughout the swing. So many of you would correctly say now, well, if I open the face, my face and my loft are pointing over to the right. Well, that is correct, but we're going to make a few setup adjustments in tip number 2 of how we're going to get this loft pointing more towards the target. So our tip number 1 was to put the golf club open, or as much loft as we can, and then grip the golf club. Tip number 2, I want you to stand a little bit further away than we usually would. This is going to encourage us just to sit down and get a little bit of lower hands in the address. So a little bit more knee flex, feel like we're sitting down in the shot a little bit more, very similar to a bunker shot. And then from there, this is going to allow our loft to now point more towards the target. If I then put this club back up, you can see my loft is pointing to the right. The lower I put my hands, the more my loft points to the left. So we just want to get our hands to a comfortable position where we're a little bit further away than we usually would, and our hands are a little bit lower, just to square up this loft to the target. So not only does tip number 2 square up our loft to the target, but also it encourages us to be as shallow as we can through the golf ball. The higher we stand to this golf ball, the harder it is to be shallower. So the more we get away, sit lower with those lower hands, the more it's going to encourage us to be shallower through the golf ball. And this is going to allow us to get as much loft and hit the ball as high as we can, shorter distance, and get the ball landing as soft as we can on the green. Let's move on to tip number 3. This leads me to the final tip, tip number 3, and this is kind of a feeling of how we're going to release this golf club underneath the ball. Now, you hear a lot of the guys on tour talk through, oh yeah, just release the bounce nicely underneath the golf ball. So we're going to run through a little tip here that's going to complement tip 1 and 2 in order for you to get this ball going high and us landing as soft as we can. So let's just run through them quickly. We've got our ball just towards the front of our stance, we've got the most loft, and then we're gripping the golf club. We're sat down with those low hands a little bit further away than we usually would to encourage that shallow angle of attack. So now we've got this really nice setup and solid setup that's going to make us easier to be able to play this shot. We just have to feel like now we've released that club underneath the golf ball. Now that sounds really simple to say it like that, but we're going to talk through those specific movements. So I want to use this analogy, and I like this analogy a lot. If I took a picture of you at address, so I took a picture now, could you recreate that at impact? So if I swung back into the ball, could you recreate that impact? And if you could, you present the loft you had at address, you present the bounce, and you'd be able to throw the bounce underneath the golf ball. So imagine this, present the same loft here. I'm not changing the picture, I'm not changing the picture by driving, I'm just presenting the same picture I had at address at impact. And then from there, through the ball, if you feel like this club passes you and get the loft to point back at you, then there you have released the bounce and the club underneath the golf ball, and that will allow you to get the ball high and landing as soft as possible. So if I show you that again, same picture, impact at address, release the golf club underneath the ball, pointing the loft back at you. You can see there, the club face is pointing back at my chest. And one more time. Back, point the loft at you. You can see this golf club has passed my hands, my body's still going though. Golf club has passed my hands and the loft has pointed at me. So tip number 3 is all about allowing you to release that bounce and point the loft back at you. So let's now put those 3 key tips into play. I'm going to present the loft down behind the golf ball, then grip the golf club. Left foot moves out slightly, right foot moves further back to allow that ball position to be towards my front foot. From here I'm going to sit down with those lower hands to encourage that shallow angle of attack. And from there I'm going to feel like the same picture at address as it impacts and point the loft at me. As you can see there, by allowing me to hit the ball as high and landing it as soft as I can, I had a chance of getting this ball close to this flag. Whereas if I didn't play that shot and I tried to run it there, I'd find it a lot harder to get this ball close to this flag. Like I said, this is a high tariff shot. It's not a shot we're going to play all the time. It's one that we're probably going to play, if we played 4 times a month, we'd probably play it twice or maybe even once. It's a high tariff shot. Let's make sure we get those 3 key tips in order for you to play this shot effectively. Thank you for watching this week's tip on Alex Elliott Golf. Now you know how to play that flop shot effectively. Like we said, it's a high tariff shot. We're not expecting to get this up and down every single time. If you've not already, make sure you subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with all the latest tips. We have Tuesday's tips, Thursday and Saturday. So much content over these winter months to help improve your golf game. If you've not already, subscribe. All you need is a Gmail account. Thank you for watching. See you next week on Alex Elliott Golf.